Hi, I just wanted to record this short video to talk to you for a few minutes about the primary source evaluation form and in general about evaluating primary sources, okay? Primary sources are, for historians, the building block of history. Everything starts with primary sources of one sort or another. What we see in, certainly in African history, as I've talked about before, we try to use a variety of sources. But for the most part, especially in the classroom, what we're talking usually about are written sources. And again, because a lot of the societies we're looking at in the early part of this course anyway are not literate, then we're talking about sources from outsiders, as we saw with Herodotus and Al-Maghili and so on. But that's not always the case. We had the source, for example, by Ezana, King Ezana, that is, of Aksum, describing the fall of Merowe. And I'm going to use that as an example in this video. So if you don't have it in front of you, pause the video and get this updated form that I've got on D2L, so we can move along through this and I can talk to you about some of the questions and so on here. Okay, first question, what is the title of the primary source document? Ideally, what I want here is the title of the original, okay? And what you'll find out a lot of times is there wasn't a title necessarily. Like in the Ezana document, it says The Fall of Merowe. That's the title that was given to this document by the current editor, the person who compiled the book that I copied this out of, okay? And most of these are copied from primary source collections. If you said The Fall of Merowe, I gave you credit for that, but it's just good to realize that that's, something that's been added later. Many people also put Ezana, The Fall of Merowe. Well, Ezana is the author's name, all right? Okay, so secondly, who is the author? There we go. We know it's King Ezana. And if you said King Ezana, I gave you full credit. However, what you need to do from here on is to give a little more information, okay? King Ezana. Who is that, okay? Give enough information that I know why, the person is producing this source, right? Okay, why is this considered to be a good or a legitimate source? Okay, so in this case, King Ezana, he was the king of Aksum in the, early to mid 4th century AD, who invaded Merowe. Boom, perfect, okay? Sentence or two, that's all you need, okay? All right, okay, when was this document originally written? Well, this document, like a lot of them, actually gives you the date, right? And it says right there, circa, as small c means circa or about, AD 325. There you go, okay? Other times there's not a date on there and you're going to have to kind of figure it out. The Ibn Battuta readings, for example, we've had a couple of those. Once again, your textbook tells you when he lived, so you can guess he probably wrote it sometime during a lifetime, right? Okay, so where you can, an exact date is good, or else just early, mid, late century, whatever that century is. In this case, it would be early 4th century AD, right? Okay. When was this document originally written? Okay, just did that. Where was this written? You don't always know that. Make an educated guess. Herodotus's writings on Egypt, he probably wrote those when he was in Egypt, okay? Other times, as we'll see, that's not the case. Ezana probably wrote this or had this written when he got back to Aksum, would be my guess, okay? What type of document is this? Well, once again, that's sort of a guess on your part. I've given you certain options here, but these are just examples. It might be something else entirely, okay? I say poem, history, law code, letter, travel account, court document, etc. So it might be something else, okay? It might be from an inscription. It might be, from a birthday card. I don't know. Anyway, so just describe what type of document this is, because that will tell us something about the type of information and so on too. Okay, who was the original author's intended audience? Once again, you have to make an educated guess here. In the case of Ezana, The Fall of Merowe, though, probably his own people. Why is that? Well, because when you read through this, it's a pretty grandiose, you know, kind of a bragging document, right? I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and you know, he's trying to leave this record of well, as kings do, right? You know, of all the great things they did. So, and the fact that it was written originally in Ge'ez, which is an Ethiopian language, well, that kind of limits who the audience might be, right? Probably his own people then. Okay. What was happening in the place, region, world when this document was written? Okay, historians call this context. Bigger picture kind of stuff. On the Ezana one, a lot of people said, oh, Aksum was invading Merowe. Well, yeah, we know that from the document. But what else was going on, okay, in the region? In this case, one of the things was Christianity was spreading throughout Northeast Africa. That's going to be a big one. We also see the downfall of Egypt. That's important. You know, different ones in different places. Okay. Okay, summarize briefly 3 key points in the document. And I underlined key points, but still, some people didn't pick up on that hint. I go on to say these should be points that you think are important or evidence for historical analysis that we might not have from another source. Okay, so something important in this document. It may be important because it's inherently important. It tells us about something big. Or it may be important because it tells us something that we can't figure out from something else, right? Okay. So for me, one of the key points in this document is about Christianity. Okay. The way he talks in here, he talks about the Lord of the land. He talks about where is it now? I'll find it here. The power of the Lord of heaven. You know, oh, he says that. Through the power of the Lord of the land. Who is that? Well, you know, it's the Christian God. He is deliberately invoking Christianity as part of his power to rule and why he's triumphant here. Okay, I think that's a very important point. Others, of course, are, well, about the invasion itself and the aftermath and things like that. So all that is good. What are the strengths and weaknesses of the document as a source for history? And I go on to say, don't say it's biased, okay? All sources are biased. But if you do detect bias, be prepared to say what it is and how it might affect the source or our understanding of it. Again, Ezana is a great example here. He's writing this for a particular purpose, right? To communicate to his people how wonderful he is. Well, that's not very objective, right? Okay, that has a bias inherent in it. So, you know, the strength of this document is it's from a guy who took part in it, right? As primary sources should be. And obviously, in this case, directed things. The man who's large and in charge, right? Okay, we're getting it from the top, right? From him. So that's good. But on the other hand, you know, it's like some propaganda, public relations. Okay, so it's not going to be an objective statement. You know, every source has certain strengths. Look at Herodotus, for example. Okay, strengths of that document: great detail. Okay, this is Herodotus' description of his time in Egypt, right? Great detail. You know, weaknesses of that document, well, time period would be one. It's coming very late in the period of Egypt. Okay. The other one would be, of course, he's an outsider. So he observes things, but he doesn't necessarily know what they mean or why they're happening, right? So that's, you know, that's sort of a classic thing. So look at who the author is: insider, outsider. How do they know this? Are they knowledgeable? Are they not? You know, this King Ezana reading. If we'd had the same thing, but from one of the foot soldiers in his army, we would have a very different perspective on things, right? Okay. Anyway, so that's just a little bit more information of what I'm looking for when you analyze primary sources. And that's true whether you fill out a primary source evaluation form or you do it in one of our online quizzes we're going to start having. All right. Any more questions about this? Put them in the general questions discussion post on D2L, and I'll answer them, and then everybody can have access to the answers there. Thank you.